Issue Brother Talib here. I want to offer some spiritual advice and mysticism on this current time period, which we know as the end days. How to understand the time and what to do from mystical teachings. أعوذ بالله بسم الله إن ولي الله أعوذ بالله بسم الله إن ولي الله أعوذ بالله بسم الله إن ولي الله بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. So this is the time period to do inner purification. This is the time period to do inner transformation. Right now, this is not the time period to struggle externally. It is a time period to struggle internally. You see, the Quran says, chapter 103, by the time surely man is lost. We make a lot of mistakes because we don't understand the time. And this is the time period, right now, also according to the teachings of Setting Tuba, to do inner transformation, tazkiyatun nafs, transforming yourself, overcoming our fears, our anger, our pride, our jealousy, all our negative character traits inside of us, and becoming better people. This is that time period to purify ourselves. That is also why we see so much spirituality growing in the world. We see New Ageism and so many different spiritual manifestations of spirituality growing in the world, and it's a beautiful thing. Now this video is also partly motivated by many of the New Age teachings, and when I say New Age, I don't separate myself from that to a certain degree. I belong to a kind of New Age Sufism, if you will, if that sort of suits the mind to think like that, or mysticism, or Sufism, or Tasawwuf, or whatever sort of earthly label one wants to put on it. But I see in many New Age teaching this sort of, the world is awakening. Yeah, that's true. I see the system of control and fear. Yes, that's true. It's nothing new. This has been prophesied for thousands of years, that these times will come. It's known as Kali Yuga in Hinduism, the second Jahiliyyah in Islam or Sufism. You can just read the book of Revelations in the Bible on the end times, or the teachings on Armageddon in Judaism, or any of the teachings of Qiyamah in the Quran. Prophet Muhammad, our master mystic, Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu has hadith after hadith after hadith on teachings on these times, and clear signs, what to look out for, what's going to happen, and so on. Many in the New Age community are waking up to this reality of how the world works and how it's being controlled by fear and so on. And this is nothing new. It's beautiful that we are seeing these realities, but it is nothing new. But also, when you're very new to the spiritual path and you wake up to a reality that is quite, you can say, unjust or uncomfortable, it sometimes motivates us to want to do the wrong thing. Or like, not the wrong thing. It motivates us to want to do the right thing, but we use the wrong method, we use the wrong tools to achieve that sort of world of peace and so on. And I also see many of these kinds of teachings on, the new world coming. Yes, but patience, please. We are not there yet. It's coming. Patience. Yeah, but we have to stand together and fight the system. Patience. Ya sabr. Your true self is patient. Allah is as-sabr. Your true self is patient. You see, haste comes from shaitan. So when we have not purified ourselves completely, we are waking up to some of these mystical teachings on the end time. We have not purified ourselves properly. Now we want to act from a state of nafs and a little bit of ruh, a little bit of spirit, true self, but a lot of ego. So we act from a place of fear, we act from a place of impatience, and a little bit of anger. So when we act from fear, impatience, anger, we are not going to manifest what the spirit, the ruh inside of us wants to manifest, the true self, Allah. So we go out and protest, and we demonstrate Black Lives Matter. Yes, it's true, Black Lives Matter. Yes, it's true, there's a lot of injustice, racial injustice in the world. Yes, it's true. The government shouldn't just keep us like animals in a cage and limit our freedom. But again, as I said in the previous video, I will suggest some patience, because you cannot fight a dragon with a toothpick. You cannot fight a dragon with a toothpick. You know dragons? You've seen Game of Thrones, The Hobbit, the big animals that breathe fire onto everything, sort of the ultimate foe. Very powerful. Swords cannot kill a dragon. Bows cannot kill a dragon. You need very, very powerful weapons to defeat a dragon. And if you say that, okay, there is a system of fear and mind control, yes, but this system is like a dragon. It is overwhelmingly powerful. And the system wants you to be impatient and expose yourself. Then it can destroy you. I repeat, the system wants you right now to get angry and impatient, because then the dragon knows, aha, he's there. Fire. Defeated. So the dragon right now is looking for all of the spiritual people who are hiding in the bushes. And when you get impatient and expose yourself to the dragon, it sees fire. Ah, it sees you there. Fire. You see? This is why it's not the time to challenge the dragon or go out and, you know, you're gonna get defeated. You will get defeated. Another likeness of this is Bismillah. Think of trench warfare in the First World War. So when you are in a trench, it's very hard for the enemies to shoot you down. Okay? Finding people in the trenches and in the caves are very difficult. Even in the war in Afghanistan, to find the people inside of the caves in the mountain is very difficult. So think of the dragon looking for these people inside of the cave or in the trench. Now what happens if you let fear and anger take you over in the trench? You might lose your patience and rise up and start running against the enemy. Oh. When you do that, the enemy sees you. Ah, he's there. He can gun you down. So my advice is to not rise up from the trench. Oh, wait. So my advice is not to get impatient now and rise up from the trench and run to the enemy's machine guns. My advice is to stay in the trench and be patient and purify ourselves from our negative character traits with a spiritual path. And in this time period, we really need a spiritual path, a lineage, a long tradition of enlightened masters who can teach us how to deal with spiritual awakening and what to do now that we are starting to see the world in other eyes. We are starting to turn inward. So how do I live off of true self? How do I reach these levels of enlightenment, or what we know as gnosis or marifa in our tradition? And following that path and leaning on that path, what we know as kind of dharma or deen al-Islam, the form, the earth element. Because without the earth element, the teaching, the regular spiritual practices, whatever tradition it might be, without that earth element, we tend to fly all over the place. There's no form, and it's very easy to defeat us. And I can also, I can add one more sort of teaching. You see, Dajjal has one eye. The Antichrist has one eye. Many people talk about this one eye. Let me say one mystical understanding. You see, the Dajjal cannot see you when you are hiding, because one eye cannot see perspective. So when you are hiding, the Dajjal will never see you. This is a deep teaching. But when you expose yourself, then the Dajjal can see you, and the Dajjal can throw his fire on you, label you a conspiracy theorist or crazy, or you know, a terrorist, or whatever it can be. The system can defeat you when you expose yourself, but the system cannot defeat you if you don't expose yourself. So this is the time period of spiritual retreat, of finding a spiritual path, a spiritual teacher. We know as a sheikh. A sheikh is essentially someone who has reached enlightenment, the true self, who knows your true self and can remove the darkness from your true self so that you can experience your natural state of fitra when you were a child. When everything was fun and the life was beautiful and you had no fear and you were just, life was wonderful to live. Then people started indoctrinating their own mind doctrines into us and limited our the light in us. So a sheikh is someone who can remove this. This is essentially the same as what the word guru means. That guru means remover of darkness. So in this time period we need spiritual practices. We need to turn into ourselves and transform ourselves, because when we transform ourselves we will also learn these character traits of the true self, which is patience. One of the character traits is patience, as-sabr. Allah is al-sabr, and not impatience and reading about news and wanting to go, now I'm gonna, this is so unfair, I'm gonna go and protest and I'm gonna go and attack police. No, don't do that, please. Sabr, patience. So this is the time period for inner transformation, to become better people. When it comes to the external struggle, there is no external struggle in this time period. And if you read the prophecies, you have to understand also that there are certain events that are prophesied by masters who were completely in a state of oneness with the universe, in a state of oneness with Allah, in pure enlightenment, who saw these things thousands of years ago. And they saw that there is going to be a great battle, which is known in scripture as Armageddon, the battle of Armageddon, or the apocalypse. So that is going to happen as well, according to prophecies. And what is the battle of Armageddon? Well, you know, we can just read about the increased arms race, the new arms race in the world. Can we not see that China is arming up some islands in the southeast China Sea? Seeing some tensions between US and North Korea. Also Russia increasing their arms. Many European countries are investing in the military again. So, you know, and we also have enough nuclear weapons to sort of blow the world many times over. So, you know, there are certain events that might take place according to prophecies in the future, so that we might look out for. And but you know, okay, yeah, I can add another one of the inner teachings, is that, you see, the trick, this is why many in Hinduism talk about non-duality, and also Buddhism and Sufism. We don't need to go to these extremes again, that we have to choose sides. We are this party or that party, this phalang or that phalang, we are blue or we are red, because if we take a side, we might very well be one of the combatants of the war of Armageddon. And we don't want to fight the war of Armageddon. We want to let the evil people fight it, and we want to stay away from it and live in peace. So, but we can only live in peace if we do the inner transformation, so that we don't pick sides. And this is also some of the essence of the last video that I made on, you know, this middle road, and that we don't have to pick an extreme. Because when we pick an extreme, we are a belligerent in the war of Armageddon to come. But when we stay out of it, we can be free, and we can live in peace and have that new world. But it requires spiritual transformation and the spiritual path to come to that level that we realize that we don't have to choose either to hate the government or completely believe everything that the system says. We don't have to go to any extreme. We don't have to be either pro-Russia, hate US, or pro-US and hate Russia. We don't have to pick sides. We are either Christian or Muslim. We don't have to pick sides. We just have to transform ourselves, and then let those people who live in this dualistic sense of identity self-destruct. Hopefully this video has been helpful. Assalamu alaikum.